Hello, I'm Lisa Tyler, the host of Senior Connections. This program is a service of Senior Resources, your local area agency on aging. And we are here to bring you current information on programs and services related to older adults and their caregivers. We're here to helpfully help you navigate what can be a complex and sometimes confusing network of services for older adults. And we cover topics from caregiving to Medicare or Medicaid assistance, medications, prescription benefits, and a lot more. Today, I am pleased to have with me Ashley Foster and Katie Drake, who are both with AgeWell Services, and they're going to let us know some of the new things that are going on with AgeWell. Good news and spoiler alert, there are some limited in-person activities again as of this moment. And so they're going to tell us. So welcome, Ashley and Katie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
So as we know, I mean, when we talk about AgeWell Services, the name of that organization says what the focus is. It's about aging well. And wellness is very important in all of us, but especially in our older adults. As many of us know, we talk about regularly, our 60 and older population is rapidly increasing, especially in Michigan, but across the country. With the pandemic and all the closures and reduced in-person services in the last 11 months, we've had a lot of challenges, but they're slowly starting to reopen. And we're going to talk about that and how AgeWell has risen to that challenge and continued to serve older adults in a new way, though, all the way along. So before we do that, we'll get to know both of you because you're both relatively new to AgeWell. Although at this point you could have been there for 11 months, and because we're not in the office together, how would I know that? But we'll start with Ashley. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What did you do before you came to AgeWell, and how long have you been there?
Well, my background, I'm an activity therapist, and I've worked in psychology, so mental health, at Forest View Psychiatric Hospital. And then before I came here, I was an activity director at a long-term care facility and short-term rehab. So it's a little bit of the same, a little bit different at this job, and I have been here since September, and I'm absolutely loving it.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, welcome. Katie, the same stuff for you. Spill it.
Okay. So I joined about a month before Ashley in August of 2020, and prior to being with AgeWell, I was with the Muskegon YMCA for about 4 years as their marketing coordinator, and I also did lifestyle coaching with their diabetes prevention program. So it focused on how to prevent type 2 diabetes, and interestingly enough, the core population that really is at risk are adults 65 and over. So I had gained a lot of experience prior to joining AgeWell with the senior population, and I have always enjoyed that. So yeah, about just hit my 6-month mark, I think.
Wonderful. So I bet it's been a little challenging to get onboarded in a remote environment because I'm trying to think, it's August and September. We had a brief amount of time that we had some staff in our building at Tanglewood Park, and then everything shut down again and we changed it. I know we have brought a lot of staff on in that last year, and it's just a really different kind of time to start.
It's definitely crazy coming into a new position in a pandemic where, you know, the other day I didn't know how to turn the lights on because no one told me because no one was in the office.
Too. I was like, I'm sick of sitting in the dark.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to learn more about what you did. So let's talk a little bit about wellness. And that term means a lot of things. And I know at AgeWell it means a lot of things. But certainly it's more than physical. It's social, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, all of those things. So Katie, what does it mean to you in your work?
So you actually just hit the nail on the head a little bit and described our spins. So those are the core areas that we try to engage our participants with. So not only social, but physical, nutritional, intellectual, and the social then. So a person that is well and that's experiencing a whole and fulfilling life, not only, should you be eating well and being active, but you have to find, peace within yourself and in your mind, in your body, your spirit, because no matter how great you look on the outside, if you're not comfortable with your insides and feeling like you're in an okay place, then you probably have some work to do in your wellness journey. So it really encompasses all those factors of a person and your well-being as a whole, and not just one component, to me. And that's what we try to do in the Senior Center activities, is plan activities and engage our participants in all those different varieties. Obviously, Ashley has a lot to do with our nutritional component, and our wellness center does a lot with that. So I try to make sure we're really hitting those social and spiritual and emotional elements as well.
Wonderful. And I'm going to say right off the bat that you two, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that are maybe a little bit out of your specific areas, but I'm grateful that you both know a lot about those. So, because I think it's always important. AgeWell has been for 45 plus years a very close partner with Senior Resources, and the work that you do is really important. So we're going to talk about a little bit more than your specific areas. So thanks in advance. So while Senior Resources serves 60 and older, AgeWell has got a little bit younger with being 50 and older with that demographic. And a lot of people know AgeWell for Meals on Wheels. I mean, it's probably one of the more, they might know the senior transportation or the congregate meal program, which we'll talk about, which are also really important. But a lot of people also know about the Wellness Center, and the great news about that is are we in week 2 or week 3 now? Well, it's been reopened for a couple, I think this is the third week.
We would be in week 3. I believe it reopened the 1st.
It's definitely crazy to see people in that building again, and it's so exciting because we need that, they need that, we all need that.
So tell us a little bit, either one of you, about the Wellness Center and the hours, because it's not all the same as it was pre-pandemic.
Absolutely. So there are reduced hours. So the center's open from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and everything is pre-registration is required. So you can't just walk in and drop in on a class if you have free time, like maybe they could before the pandemic. But that doesn't mean if you're learning about AgeWell for the first time and you want to join that we aren't onboarding new members. Okay. So it's just processes look a tad bit different.
Are the classes then for several weeks? Because yes, before you could just drop in. I always dropped in on a Monday or Wednesday for boot camp if it worked in my schedule and paid the separate drop-in fee. But now I'm trying to remember because it was a really information-filled newsletter that I got. Certainly part of it about all the hygiene practices, which are above and beyond probably whatever had been done. But I think you have to register for some classes now for like a 6-week session or something.
Yeah, so depending upon the activity, for example, the art classes, I believe some of those are like a one-time special event, but others might be a 2, 4, 6-week series. I believe most of the fitness classes, without looking at that advantage, I don't have it quite memorized, but they are I believe planned for 4 to 6 weeks. And so so you would pre-register, say, hey, I want to attend this Zumba session. And then if something happens and we have to unfortunately move back a little bit, everybody would just get notified in that instance. But we're trying not to think that way.
Right. So we've got some exercise classes, quite a few of the ones that were there. And you did mention art. So they are still, the art room has always been a very popular thing, and I think you're right. I think that is a one-time thing, but you still sign up for it ahead of time, I think, with everything else. But it's not a multiple week thing where you have to.
Not for art, I don't believe. We also do have lunch and learn classes going on. So our Brain Health University that we've offered in the past, and Nourish, which is an evidence-based 4-week nutrition program. Those are both going on, and so, for example, those are 4 to 6 weeks themselves. But yes,
so tell us a little bit about those 2 classes, because those are newer to me.
Okay, so Brain Health University is the one I'm a little bit less familiar with, but I believe it focuses on those more of that spiritual and emotional wellness and your overall well-being. And then Nourish focuses completely on nutrition for adults, kind of in that 50, 60 and over age group, and just how eating habits, and if we think about the My Plate, if I don't know if you're familiar with that, it replaced the food pyramid, how that changes even with aging, because when you're in your 20s, what you need might look vastly different from what you need in your 60s. So it really focuses on how to keep that balanced diet, but how it shifts also as you age.
Good point. So talking about food, another popular offering at Tanglewood that's been gone since March is the Driftwood Cafe, and that's open again.
Yeah,
and
we're very excited about that.
I know, I wish I was in the building more than occasionally, but tell us about that. It is open now, and it's got some reduced hours, right?
Yes, reduced hours and the reduced menu as well.
Okay, so I think it's open from 11 to 2. So they're not probably doing, I'm trying to remember, I saw the menu, not doing the breakfast offerings anymore, probably, right? Because not open till 11. So if you knew the menu before, a lot of the favorites are on there, but not all of the grab and go things that had been there before.
There's grab and go.
Okay.
Yep, there's grab and
awesome.
go. There's some pop down there, and yep.
But that fabulous new machine they had for the soda with all the choices.
I
is
know.
not-
The
it's all
freestyle
bottled
is
or canned, right?
Right.
So, but it is still available. And is the senior dining program still involved? Where you could go in, I mean, there were certain things on the menu you could get for a reduced price, I think.
Yes, so that's still open, and it's currently following the hot meal portion or the main meal menu of the Meals on Wheels program. So it's listed if you walk in the cafe, they've got it kind of right up front what the meal is for that day. So that's still an option.
Okay. All right, well, we'll talk more about meals and things, but that is a reminder to people that the Driftwood Cafe, if you liked it before, you'll still like it. It's still beautiful in there. 11 to 2. They're not doing the congregate meals there on Tuesdays and Thursdays like they used to and all of those things until we can get safer with all of that. So let's talk a little bit about some senior center activity plans. Are we doing anything in person? Is it virtual? Talk to us a little bit about how that has, and I know you weren't there for all of it, but how it has been still offering things to people.
So definitely, we have not stopped at all. So even when I was onboarded, it was very much, we were at a beautiful time of the year where we were able to meet outside and do some activity that way and engage participants, and then we hit winter. And so that is when we really shifted to focusing on activities that could be delivered or given to participants along with their meals, so they could take those either home or to their residence if they live somewhere that might be, senior housing where they're in that residence. And this last month, so January, is when we began to offer virtual programming. And so that's where we are hitting at least one of the, as I mentioned earlier, spins in each month with virtual programming. So for this month, we made energy balls on Zoom. So we met on Zoom. Participants were given the recipes ahead of time in case they wanted to buy the ingredients and make the recipe along with me. I don't think that anybody made it along, but I had participants that tried and let me know that they liked it. And so March we'll be doing healthy air fryer recipes because that's
I need to join that one.
that was a topic that was requested, and I happen to have an air fryer, and I was like, any excuse to cook
Actually,
in that
tell me
thing.
when it's Instant Pot recipes, because I got one a year ago for Christmas, and I use it for rice and eggs.
That's nice. My mom got one a year ago, and she still does not use it to this day.
That
so
was
she needs
the
to be
other
part of
topic that was requested, but I don't have one because I crock pot, but both my mother and mother-in-law have one, so I'm sure I can get my hands on one to do that. But we're also doing yoga, meditation. On Mondays, we do a craft cooking class, like I said, so we really just try and get, and all of those encompass a little bit of that social element is the other part that because I love working with people, and I came into this role when we couldn't be with people, I have been relishing in some of the relationships I've been able to build just from meeting these people virtually. And I, for the first time last week, got to see somebody in person for the first time that I had met virtually, and they were like, "Are you Katie?" And I was like, yeah, it's really nice to meet you. Like, all I want to do is give you a hug and touch you, but I can't. And so it's been really meaningful to me to have the opportunity to kind of meet some of our members that way and engage them, and knowing how much it means to them even to have a half an hour of their day with others.
I would imagine that it is. The connection and that missed human interaction has been really difficult. And winter's already challenging enough for us. I mean, I know there are people who love winter. Kudos to all of you who do. I'm not one. And it's hard because we've got transportation issues normal times, and then you've got bad roads, and then really concern, understandably, with going out places. And so I imagine you're hearing some great feedback of, doing the virtual things and having that connection, because we do that with our staff meetings, and those couple of times a month we do that. I'm always grateful to at least see their faces because it's been a long time.
Yeah, Katie does a really good job engaging the participants in it because I hear it through the congregate sites with my site coordinators and with the participants there. They say how much they love the activities and the activity kits they get, and the virtual part of it, and we're so proud of how they actually are doing the virtual.
That was our biggest fear, and to have them, and it's not everybody, but the few handful of people that we have are very committed, and they very much enjoy it. They're like, are you going to do another one? Can we have another one? Can you do this?
That's wonderful.
And that was how yoga was added, actually. Somebody said, well, we really like meditation, but we used to take yoga with this instructor. And so I said, well, would you do it if I could get them to do it virtually? And they're like, absolutely. And so that's kind of how it happened, and we've just expanded from there, and it's been great.
Wonderful. Well, let's switch a little bit and Ashley talk to you about another aspect of the wellness and the nutrition and the meals that you touched on a little bit. So I just have to say, AgeWell has done a phenomenal job pivoting during this pandemic, and they did it very quickly. So I think most people know about home delivered meals, and then they did have the congregate sites where people could come together for that social aspect along with the nutrition and get together and have meals together, and that hasn't been able to happen for a long time. But they've done grab and goes and all kinds of other things. So talk to us a little bit about those changes. And again, I know some of that was before you got there, but they never missed a beat. It's really been impressive. How has that looked?
Well, yeah, like unfortunately I've started in September, so I don't know what it looked like before. I still don't know what the congregate meals look like. I can't wait to get to there some point. But yeah, for them it is definitely different because they can't congregate and they can't talk and mingle and do activities and talk with their friends and talk with the site coordinators. So that's definitely different for them. They can only just come and grab their meal and leave, which is still great. We're still offering them a balanced meal, which is excellent, but it definitely is different for them. So we can't wait till we can open up again so we can give them that communications with others and the activities that they need and to keep their mental health up.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about this, grabbing a meal and going. Where are the locations for that? Where do they find out?
So we
about
serve in Ottawa, Muskegon, Oceana County. We have Grand Haven. There's a site at Grand Haven. There's a site at Jenison, Orchard View, Pine Grove, Jefferson Towers, Shelby, the latter township. There was one at Northside. We just sadly had to close that one. So there's a bunch of places that they can go and get their meals at. Now, wherever they live, then they can always look on the website and look there. Okay, this place is closer to my home. I can go to this site. So that's all on the website, and who the site coordinator is, their phone number, and all that jazz is on the website as well. Or they can contact me as well, and I will get them to the area they need to go to.
Okay, so what are their choices when they're getting meals?
So they can choose through a hot meal, a cold meal, which is a salad, or excuse me, that's what's confusing. The colds are sandwiches,
right?
And the salads are cold, but they're salads. Does that make sense?
So they get a hot meal,
So they get
or
a hot
sandwich,
or
a salad.
or a salad.
So what
yes.
kind of hot meal look like?
So a hot meal, they let's do a meatloaf, or they'll get a meatloaf. They'll get some sort of vegetable, some sort of starch. So that's what their meals look like. And now some sites have them prepackaged, and then some sites they will be served.
Okay.
So depends on how many have been reserved for the next day, and that's how they choose.
Okay. So they're still getting them to go, but they might go in and they can tell the person whether they, if they're like my husband who doesn't like broccoli and that's the vegetable,
Right.
then
Yep.
they don't have to. So it's not.
They can
it
choose
just
no
depends on
broccoli.
those
Yeah.
things. So you've got site coordinators out doing that,
Yes.
as you would have if it was a regular congregate.
Yes.
So what else is there? How does somebody sign up, and tell us a little bit about what the cost is for that?
So there's no cost,
Okay.
which is very nice. It's all strictly donation, and you do not have to donate if you cannot donate. But if you choose to donate, we accept it, we love it, we appreciate it.
That just provides more meals to people, right?
Absolutely.
Goes right back into
Yep.
that.
Yep. But it's not required to pay. What was your other question? I apologize.
How do they sign up?
Oh, yep, they can go to the meal site and they can register, and they get a registration form, and they just have to fill that out, and then they're signed in, and then they can choose meals for the rest of the week, for other times they want to have a meal for the rest of the month. Or they can call our intake program, our intake ladies, and they will sign them up.
Okay. And how many days a week can somebody go and get those?
So every site's different. So some sites are 5 days a week, some sites are 2, and some days are 3. And that also depends on what's going on right now too. Some sites that used to be open 5 days are only open 2 days a week. So it's definitely different.
So is the menu the same in all 3 counties?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because it's all coming. It's amazing to me still how
It's
many
crazy in
meals
that
come
kitchen.
out of that
Yes,
kitchen.
it's amazing.
At Tanglewood Park, you would all be amazed. It is quite a machine,
It's
and very
something.
different. And again, a team that changed on a dime last, March when they changed and they've gone to 2 different teams for safety reasons because there was a lot of people in there before. And I mean, kind of sad you ladies haven't been able to see it at its full glory there, but
Yeah.
you'll get to.
We will.
Getting there.
And the kitchen, it works absolutely wonderful with us because, we have to change things, on the fly sometimes where we found out, okay, there's too many people. Well, this was more the fall. There was too many people sick at this site. Okay, well, then we're not going to serve them meals. We're going to actually have them pre-packaged meals. So we had to change that, the night of or sometimes even that morning. So the kitchen works great with us.
Yeah, it's really an amazing machinery kind of thing over there, and everybody loves what, I'm assuming they all love what they're doing because they're always smiling, and, and the smells that come out of there are really quite wonderful.
I've always said I've never been so welcomed in a job than I have been at AgeWell. Everybody is so kind, so friendly, able to help at any time, so it's been great.
And I think the other really important thing to note is that, especially for both of us in the roles that we're in, when you're onboarded, you get this opportunity, like in your first couple weeks, they really want you to learn about all the other programs. And so I feel comfortable talking about wellness or about the cafe or about the kitchen because I've been able to be immersed in that, even if only for a day. But we both did ride-alongs with senior transportation. And so not only is it incredibly welcoming, it's very thorough, and you really get a sense of the whole operation and not just your job or your department.
Which is important because you have so many things. Senior transportation isn't even 2 years old at AgeWell. It was at Red Cross before that. But when you wear those shirts, you never know who knows AgeWell for what aspect.
Right.
We always talk
Absolutely.
about Meals on Wheels as one of the big ones.
That everybody knows Meals on Wheels,
Right.
yeah.
But then if that's not your specialty, you're probably still going to get asked about it. How
Yeah.
do I sign up for that?
Yes.
Or what are those meals like? Or what does it cost? So it's good for you to know.
And that's the other part of my position. That's the assessor part of my position. I do the home delivered meals.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So
Definitely made that a segue, didn't I?
Go, Ashley.
So that's super important because that is a literal lifeline to some people. So talk to us a little bit about that program and what's involved with it and how that's different. And again, I know that I keep saying this, how it's different and you weren't both there, but certainly before, a big part of it was going and laying eyes on somebody when you delivered that meal. So
Yes. So that program is absolutely wonderful, like we said. So what they do is they would call the intake and they say, I would like to be a part of Meals on Wheels. I would like to get home delivered meals, HDM. So then we contact them. We will do their interview. We will assessment. But typically the assessment was in the home. And obviously we can't do that. So that's a little bit hard when we go to do their reassessment in 6 months to check up on them. It's hard because we don't know if they've digressed or if something needs to be fixed in their home. It's hard to, we can't see that at all.
Right. I think for everybody, not being able to lay eyes on a participant has really been challenging.
Yeah, and interviews on the phone, assessments on the phone are difficult because, sometimes, the dementia or, they can't hear you or stuff like that. So it makes it difficult. But with that all being said, it's an amazing program, so we get their assessment done, we see what their priority is. So they have got a 3 priority score, 1, 2, and 3. 3 priority being they need less meals, and 1 meaning they need the most meals, the most help. And so that's where transportation helps us. Transportation will grab the food and they bring them out to their homes. And I'll tell you what, the transportation drivers have such a great relationship with these participants when they come and give them the food. I know this because when I'm doing assessments on the phone, they go, oh, I love my driver. Oh my gosh, they're awesome. They're so kind. They check up on me. And they need that. So that's awesome.
Are they still able to do some of that checking when they're delivering? I mean, they're not, are they knocking on the door to let somebody know that it's there so that they can see them?
Yes, they have to see them.
Okay.
They have to lay eyes on them and give them their meal. They
So they're
cannot
still
just
doing
leave it
that.
at their door.
Okay. And that's a really important part of it. To me, that's as critical as giving them the actual nutrition, because I remember
agree. Yeah,
absolutely.
when I had first started at Senior Resources and we were promoting the senior millage, talking to one of the Meals on Wheels drivers, and I don't know if she's still there, but she was talking to me about the relationship she had with her people in the Lakeside neighborhood, and one lady who had told her where her key was, she said, if I ever don't come to the door, here's where my key is to get in, and here's where the names of loved ones are if you need to call, because she figured if she wasn't there because it's a set time, or narrow time range, that it meant something was wrong. And
Oh,
so
wow.
she trusted that driver enough to tell her where the safety things were in case she were to come in and need to contact somebody. And I just thought that those relationships, as you said, and it's the same with those senior transportation drivers
yeah.
too, they're really critical
Yeah.
to all of those aspects of wellness that we talked about.
They definitely go
Absolutely.
above and beyond. Their hearts are huge.
They absolutely do. So we probably got about 3 minutes or so left. So tell us a little bit, because it's so fluid in the pandemic, we realize that here we are, it's February 17th when we're giving you this information. It could be changed by the time this airs. So how should people find out about any changes in offerings or things like that?
I would definitely use the website as a huge crutch. Everything will be up to date on the website, when we're opening, what's open. The website's very, very, very helpful.
Right.
With the exception of senior center activities, and the reason that is because before my onboarding there was a vacancy, and so we're still working on getting that one up to date, but because of how different things are, just calling me is A-okay. And I can mail out a letter of activities and things like that. We actually just sent one end of January that was like, hey, I introduced myself and just, you're gonna see a new face and that sort of a thing. And we are onboarding a new marketing person soon. So even the senior center activities will be up to date, but right now that portion of the website is the least accurate, we'll say, just because of the pandemic and how things happen. But other than that, website's a great resource.
So you can always just do a quick internet search for AgeWell Services and find that information up. Also, the wellness office, which, even if they're not exactly the right place, it's probably not the right number necessarily for meals, but they can direct you everywhere. Their number is 231-755-0434, and they have wonderful people there who will be very helpful. And my last words, but I'm going to say it earlier, always, if you can't remember to look that all up, you can call 211 because they're great at having that updated information, and I know AgeWell keeps them up to date. So we've got about a minute left. Are there any other things you want our viewers to know about your specific parts or about AgeWell in general?
If you need help, call us.
Or if you know somebody.
Right.
Because again, it's 50 and over. And you don't have to be frail and struggling to be home. You want to just get some activities. You want those connections virtually.
I will say that senior center activities is actually 60 and over, but for the most part, that 50 and over is applicable in lots of spots.
Same with
Just-
HDM and the congregate meals.
Those are
You have to be 60 or over.
So it's really wellness things that are 50 and over, so I misspoke. But I think the most important thing is that it's not just for poor, it's not just for people
for
with medical
everybody.
issues.
Yes.
Certain things have certain qualifications, but there's something there for everybody. So,
Absolutely.
So I'm so grateful for both of you coming and getting to know you. I just want to remind our viewers, as you can see, we're still in a pandemic. I want to encourage you, if you are eligible to get the vaccine, please try to do that. Try to take care of your health, be safe. We're here in one of the this 2 weeks of frigid cold we've had. Hopefully by the time you see this, it's warming up a little bit. Katie and Ashley, I'm so grateful for you coming and sharing this information. Please continue to do the fabulous work that you do, and I hope that we'll be seeing you in the building in person one of these days. We're all hoping for that. In the meantime, stay safe, stay warm. If you need anything, call 211, and they will direct you in the right way. Thanks for joining us today.